All right. Hello, folks, as you're coming in. Welcome. I'll get my kids' song started because why not?
What do you see? A big volcano shooting out spaghetti. Wait, oh no! Lava made of melted cheese, squirting out like a giant sneeze. Is it burping? Is it snoring? Is it full of dinosaurs roaring? Did it just explode a shoe? I don't know, but neither do you. Lava flows like rainbow slime, glowing green, tasting like lime. Earth is talking, what it say? Toot toot! I love pie today.
Guitar solo.
What do you hear? A giant rumble,
Hey, Kunal.
or is that a hippo?
Hey, Ryan.
How are you, man?
Monkeys
Good.
dancing on
We
Very
got
good.
my kids' song going.
socks
Nice.
and eating chalk. Is it hungry? Is it silly?
All right, we'll pause real quick so Ryan can say a few words. I'm sure you came in here to duck in to say a word.
I just wanted to say hey and thanks for being here, and you go for it. Sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Ryan, hey, thank you for putting this together, putting this on.
Yeah.
This is it's incredible to just have an opportunity for everyone to be able to get these folks together and get thoughts together and all that. So thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. All right, we'll get started. Folks, thank you for joining. This is me, Kunal Dalal here, AI parent, and my presentation. I was playing the song, which I'll just play maybe another 30 seconds of, so you can get a feel, because you're going to hear from my son a lot in this presentation. And so just to get his love of metal and rock, and he, by the way, was like, this is not rock enough. So, Boppy, this is your song, not my song.
Smell like moldy chili. Did it just launch a giant fish? Maybe it's a magic wish. Lava flows like rainbow slime, glowing green, tasting like lime. Earth is talking, what it say? Toot toot! I love pie today. Oh no, it's spitting out potatoes. Some are big, some are small. One just turned into a bouncy ball. Flying cows with parachutes, singing songs on tiny flutes.
All right, now the guitar solo, which we'll just play for a little bit and then we'll get started. And a drum solo.
What do you see? A big volcano.
All right. If you want to listen to the whole song in this presentation, that is linked to the Suno song. And so feel free to get in there and rock out and make your own songs, etc. So I started this because the biggest thing about parenting with AI is that it's fun. And any one of you who've spent some time at home with their kids using AI knows that the lens that our kids have is one of fun, one of joy, one of excitement, one of wonder. And no matter how nervous or stressed out or sort of big picture we're thinking, they just love having fun in the moment. And so I'm going to share some things where I have fun with my kid. But I also, it's going to be fun, but also it's a serious moment too. Our kids' futures are uncertain. We do not know how to prep them for a place that they're going that we don't know anything about. And so we have to be cognizant of what's happening, but also compassionate, kind. And I think one of the things I'm really going to try to impress upon you is that we have to learn how to be deep, deep followers of our kids. We talk a lot about leadership all day and night. We don't talk about followership. And I think this moment is a moment where we have to learn how to be empowered followers of our kids. So let me start moving here. This is my kind of, I don't know, the axiom with which I sort of do this work. And that is that a new world, just like a new idea, cannot be imagined by anyone other than someone who has no stake in the current way that we do things. We can try to imagine it, but we've all had some modicum of success in this world. So we're always going to probably find some value in some things. And maybe those things do have value. But as you all know, when you brainstorm, when you're thinking about something new, when you're trying to do something different, you're not interested in trying to hold back new ideas. And so I am firmly of the belief that listening to our young folks, listening to our kids, is not just the best way, but in fact, the only way that we're going to go figure this out. And as I do this presentation, I'm going to be really speaking to the parent-child connection. This is not a presentation around how to include parents in a school conversation. That other people do that, and that's fine. And I do that too, but not for this presentation. For this presentation, what I call the sacred space between a parent and a child, well, I don't call it, many people call it that, but that sacred space between a parent and a child, that's the place I'm going to address. That's the place that I want to talk about with everyone who's here. So again, thank you all for joining. And I'm going to start by kind of breaking something, which is this idea of future readiness. I'm going to break it for this presentation because we do not know what the future is. And when we say future ready, what I'm often hearing, I'm not hearing this from everybody, but what I'm often hearing is a future that is like, you're getting ready for it. Okay, what is it going to be? How are my kids going to succeed? And we don't know what that is. And in fact, right now, we are determining what that future is going to be. And to determine what that future is going to be means we have to be, what I have here in bold, present ready. I am preaching, if you will, present ready parenting, to be ready and to be understanding of today, right now, what is happening right now. Future will come, but the future is going to be determined by what we do. If we're waiting around for someone else to decide for us, I'm afraid it's going to look, I'm worried that it's going to look a lot like it does today, just with AI. And I don't think any of us who are parents are looking forward to our kids just living and working in a more robotic version of what today looks like. Let me share with you a quick video of my son. This video, I have the word joy up here because this is why we do this, right? This is why we teach. This is why we parent. This is just why we live. Have a little bit of joy in the world. He is putting on these little AI glasses, brilliant XYZ glasses. And I asked him, I was like, see if AI can do a math problem right. So he was doing some addition. He's pretty decent at math. And so I asked him, check to see if these AI glasses, it does a little readout in the glasses, see if it's right. Again, notice the framing. I'm asking him to check if AI is right. I'm not asking him to see if he's right by asking AI. So I want him to be the holder of the information and for him to check. He's 4 years old in this, by the way, and it's really cute. So just prepare your heart. Say it now.
What's 4 plus 5 in numbers? 9!
So that's my little 4-year-old, and he was like trying, he saw me working on these glasses and he saw me just kind of like messing with them. But I realized, wait, why am I hiding this from him? Why am I not sharing this with him? There's a way in which he can engage with this. And to me, the joy that he sees is, of course, the joy that, hey, look, like, oh, it said 9, it was right. But actually what I'm seeing is that this little 4-year-old boy is seeing that there's value enough in the words that are coming out of his mouth and the ideas that are coming out of his mouth to show up in those glasses, to show up on there. That's when we do image generation. As he prompts, he sees things. So his voice has enough value that this big important computer thing that his dad works on all day and is whatever, doing all these things with, it's important enough for his voice too to show up. And so that's the joy that I see happening. And I think when we think about AI, I'm going to talk about using it in community, but when our kids get to see that their voice gets to create something He doesn't know how to write yet. He doesn't really know how to read yet, but he can talk, and AI can listen these days, so he can engage. So here's me. That QR code is to my blog, my Substack, if you're interested, if you're not already subscribed. My day job there, Administrative Artificial Intelligence at Orange County Department of Ed. I'm also the author of The AI Parent. The thing that's not in italics was the original, the first edition title, How Artificial Intelligence Helped Me a Better Father. In the second edition, I added the italics and how it sometimes fills me with existential dread, because AI is moving very fast. And I don't think there's a single parent on this call or elsewhere who doesn't feel some form of dread as well. It's hope, it's excitement, but it's also like, what is going to happen? I do monthly seminar or webinars. The next one is coming up April 19th, so in a couple of weeks. It's going to be featuring Jess Madry, who is a mom, and we're going to talk about holding the sacred space between child and parent, and how AI can be embedded into that sacred space. So what do you think about, what did you just say? You said something about AI. What was it? Tell me.
Nobody's understanding because in Nongsu, you said nobody looks like they're paying attention to AI.
They're not paying attention to AI? And if they paid attention, what could they do?
Do really creative, cool stuff.
Creative, cool stuff?
Yep.
What do you use AI for?
I use it to do cool stuff and look at cool pictures to build stuff.
To build stuff? So it helps you think about what to build? Awesome. So there's my 4-year-old. He's 5 now, but most of these videos were when he was 4. He told me to make sure everybody knew whenever I showed this presentation that he's putting his hands up because he wants everybody to know how much he loves AI. So that's how much he loves AI, that much. And to a 4-year-old, that is like the most you can love something. And so he's sharing with you. But the reason I share this slide is because what I have here, young people are watching us, and how we interact with this is going to inform them in how they care about it going forward. Their life is going to be completely, thorough in its inclusion. The name of this conference, right? Preparing for an AI everywhere world. That is what it is, right? And because of that, they are going to be looking to us as adults to talk to get some guidance. And if we don't talk to them about it now, they're going to have to decide, do I come talk to that adult or not? Because they're going to have to talk about it no matter what. There is no way around that. Can I talk to this adult about it? And if so, how does this adult think about it? Or do I not talk to my adult because I know this adult never talks about AI and doesn't want to talk about AI, right? And so how we approach this with whatever lens it is, you don't have to like it, you don't have to hate it, whatever lens it is, but it's going to be part of their futures. This is this is a QR code to the actual presentation. If you want to, if you're on your, we're always on multiple devices. So I guess if you want to point your phone at that, but we're having these incredible conferences and incredible sessions because schools and higher ed are confused about what to do right now. So we need leadership, we need thought. And now we have the second element you see right there, Silicon Valley, Wall Street. And I had to add DC recently, which was sad to add, but it is what it is. They're trying to build an AI supercharged capitalism. We see it, right? We see it, and they're not even trying to hide it. And so I'm of the firm belief that we as parents who own the first impressions that our children have of this world. The analogy I use is McDonald's in the 80s. They started putting in play areas, right? Yeah, they wanted to draw in families, but also, and this was in the memos, they wanted kids to have positive associations with McDonald's. And because they had positive association with McDonald's, they would come back as adults. We get to be that McDonald's playground for AI. It doesn't have to be love it forever or make it this or make it that. But whatever it is you care about, that's how our kids are going to lens and they're going to see AI. So it is so important. Like these guys, Silicon Valley, Wall Street, whatever, they can do what they can do, but they do not have access to our kids like we have access to our kids. And if we don't own our access, they're going to own for us like they did with social media. And obviously we all know we do not want social media again for our kids. This is my we cannot equivocate slide. Pretty strong, but I think maybe 2 years ago, people would have said I was overreacting, but I think today we can all agree that we are sort of here. Last generation without AI, we got to know what to do and how to act in this bridge moment. And we're not going to know, right? We're going to have to figure it out with kindness, with care, and with love. We can figure it out. The second thing is parents have the power. Just like I used with the McDonald's analogy, we have the power to be able to craft how our kids engage with this. And the stakes are absolute. And I'm sorry, I got to just beat this, but we have to. I have to keep saying it. Once AI develops to wherever it's going to develop, people keep talking about AGI, and whatever AGI may or may not be, we already are at a place where AI, when orchestrated right, is faster, frankly, smarter in many ways, and potentially more expansive than we are already. And so if we don't get this right, I don't know if right is the right word, but if we don't get this and care about it, I don't know if we get a second chance. That's why I have there's no second chances. I don't know if we get a second chance. So this is our moment. It's huge, but I think we as parents, we didn't bring kids into this world because we were looking for an easy job. So this is our moment. I want to share just a couple of lovely things before I get more serious, which is 3 images from my kid. He was 3 and 4 when he made all of these. But the first one was awesome because he just came up to me randomly and he was like, what would Saturn look like if it was our moon? Can AI do that? And I was like, I don't know. Let's find out. Of course, I knew AI could do that. But we entered it and it came up with this beautiful image. I think we can all agree that's a beautiful image. But there's 2 things that happened immediately after this image came out, that this image was created, that I think countered this idea of AI is taking away creativity, AI is taking away critical thinking. First thing he said was, hold on, Bobby, hold on. Saturn is bigger than us. So Saturn wouldn't be our moon. We would be Saturn's moon. And I was like, here we go. First mind blown moment. Good job, little 4-year-old boy. Critical thinking, right? He sees the image and he starts to ask questions of this image. And he's like, the image is beautiful. However, hold on. There's an assumption that I had that I didn't consider. Second thing, what did he do? He takes the image. He's like, Bobby, put it on the iPad and put it over by my paint stuff. And he starts to paint this. And I'm not going to share with you the painting because this slide is like, your kid is 4. And then when you see the painting, you're like, oh yeah, your kid is 4. And so that's sort of, again, countering this narrative of it's taking away his artistic. No, it actually inspired his artistic sense. This next one is he had a crazy dream. We do dream journals. We don't do it every day, but we do it often, where we take an image, or we take his dream. He describes his dream, and then we make an image out of it. And message me later if you're a child psychologist and you look at this image in the middle and you're like, there's something wrong with your kid. Feel free. I won't take offense. But yes, he said monster trucks with eyeballs on them. Very well done, sir. Very well done. The final image is what really hits home for me, hits it hardest for me, really. And often when I share this image, I get shivers and sometimes I get emotional, but and just saying I get emotional makes me emotional. But he came to me one day and he was like, Boppy, Boppy, Boppy. Whenever I watch a show, and he doesn't watch a lot of shows, don't judge me. Whenever I watch a show, they always show a new idea as a big light bulb. And then he was like, but that's not how I see, when I have a new idea, it's not always clear like that. It's not always bright like that. Sometimes I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know if I should share it with somebody else. I don't know. I just don't know if it's a good idea. And so I'm like, let's try to make an image out of it. He hadn't thought about that. And he was like, okay, fine. So we do a couple of prompts, nothing really works. And then this image came up, the one there on the right there. And he says, that's it, Poppy, that's it. And I was like, okay, what's up? Tell me more. And he says, when I have a new idea, it's like a light bulb, but it's surrounded by a cloud. And it's a cloud like it's foggy. And it's a cloud like it might even be stormy. Like, I don't know if it's a good idea. It might be a bad idea. And I don't even know if I should tell you, Boppy. I don't even know if I should think the idea, but that's how it feels. I'm getting a little like goosebumpy here, even sharing this, but like, Later on, like in the moment, it was just like I was blown away. But later on, I'm just thinking, is my 4-year-old reflecting on metacognition right now? And I think the answer is yes. In whatever his 4-year-old version of metacognition is, I think that is what's happening. And that's happening because he's able to visualize what he's feeling in a way that was not, let's make no mistake about it, was not accessible to us before. And so this is an example of how these 3 images I share with you to show how it's building imagination. This isn't taking away imagination. This isn't taking anything away. This is building. And I'm going to share with you the triangle of communication that we do. Let me see what time we're. Okay, good. We're good on time. I call it the drama triangle. We all know the drama triangle, right? It's like I talk to somebody. Hey, do you know that this person thinks this, said this about you? And then you go behind that person's back and talk to that person. And be like, hey, you know this person, they talked about me. And it's this conversational triangle that's all bad, right? But we don't have to do the drama triangle if we do a positive triangle. And I think of pretty much all of AI, what I call AI and community, as triangles. And we can do parenting triangles now where we have parent, child, AI, and it can be anything. Cooking, playing tennis, skateboarding. I take videos of him skateboarding, stick it into AI Studio, Google AI Studio, and the studio gives him feedback. I can give him feedback, but often actually the feedback from Google Studio is better than mine because it's not, getting annoyed by my son like I'm getting annoyed in that moment. So, it works. But this is an example of how I used the triangle of communication with my child. I've been living down here in Orange County here for about a year and a half. I moved here immediately before this. I was living up near Seattle, and I've been living there for about 2 years. And so his grandma, his grandpa, like they all live up there. And so we were living up there, and I moved down here for this job, and we were separated for about 8 months, 7 to 8 months. I was flying up there every during the weekends, and then I'd come back down here for work. And so he moved down here in September, and he was having a hard time. He was missing his grandma. He was missing his grandpa. He was missing the Northwest, being outside, being in the sun, and all of that stuff. Or not sun, being out in the trees, and all of that. And he was just missing the familiarity, right, of being what he knows. He's 4. And so I turned on ChatGPT, I put it in voice mode, and I started talking with him. And I said, hey, I'm here. You can see what my text is here. Basically, I'm here with my son. He's having a hard time. And in fact, I also was having a hard time, right? Like I was like, I'm being short with him. And when I said that to ChatGPT, when I said, I feel like I'm being impatient, I feel like I'm not being the best dad I could be, he looked at me, he turned his eyes and looked at me with a look that I had never seen before. I've seen it a few times now, but I hadn't seen that look before. And it really was a look of, oh, hell, you're hearing me. You can actually hear what I'm saying. And we often use ChatGPT now as a third party. In almost every case, it does not matter what ChatGPT says. It is irrelevant, because what's actually important is that the two of us are sitting together and we're asking questions. Any of you that's been to counseling understands the power of having that third party. It's not about what the third party says. It's actually about the two of you connecting. And so that's what we do. So I wanted to share that. Please, if you don't already do this with your kid, you can do it. I actually call this no screen AI now, no screen AI, because I turn the phone around and I just use audio. We don't have to increase screen time by using AI. AI can talk now. So don't even worry about screen time, just talk. Another thing I do, daily journals. So this gentleman here is my aspirational self. Maybe one day I can look as cool as he does. But he and his little boy are in a parking lot. I ask my boy sometimes, what's your favorite memory? Let's make a little image. And as he makes the image, I'm sorry, as he says the prompt, and again, now he can just talk the prompt. I used to have to type the prompt in. As he starts to prompt, he has gotten so good at his descriptive language because he knows that the better he describes the scene, the better the image is going to come out. So at first he was like, oh, I was in the parking lot. oh, we were doing this. And now when I ask him, he's like, the sky was blue, there were butterflies, there was birds flying in front of me, there was noise coming from the street, there were 6 cars in the parking lot, all of these words. And he's able to describe the scene in, the kind of detail that as an English teacher or as anyone who's trying to teach somebody how to use descriptive language, that's what you'd want, right? And he, knowing that this image is going to get closer to what he's trying to get to, that's what he's learning and that's what he's doing. It's really cool. And I share all this like not to sit here and show off, oh, look at how cool my kid is, because I don't think, I mean, my kid's smart, but all kids are smart. My kid isn't doing, I don't think my kid is exceptional in any of those ways. I think all kids are brilliant, all kids are exceptional. And it is, but what it is that his first classroom is with me. And because his first classroom is with me, and because he and I are connecting through this lens and with this tool, we're able to go places that, frankly, I do not think I would have had the power to go to if I had been a parent 5 years ago, 8 years ago. I do not think I would have had that option. And so that's what I get to do now as a parent. And so this presentation, as I continue on, I wanna share with you what I call being school agnostic, which is this presentation is school agnostic. I am not talking about specific school paradigms or anything. I'm talking again about the connection between parent and child. Excuse me. I'll mute myself next time I cough. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry, last thing. Is it last thing that, yeah. Okay. So this is what, this is what I'm working on as well with my child is, I have a children's book called, Why Does It Hurt, Poppy? I self-published it some years ago. And it's just a story about, the two of us growing up together and, him running into things that hurt him and asking me if I've felt pain like that before. And then we talk about, how pain and hurt is actually a sign of love and care. And so what we're going to do is we're going to re-illustrate the book. And I want to sit with him. We're going to read the book together. He's going to talk to me. And he's already given me a couple of suggestions. He's already like, hey, this chapter, you talked about having a dog. I don't ever want a dog. I want a cat. So can we change that to a cat? All right, kid, we can change it to a cat. And so we're going to work that out. So that's, coming up. And by the way, you see I have illustrations here. That was a human illustrator. I'm going to be paying, if this book ever gets any money, who knows if anyone buys the book, but if so, I'm going to give the same percentage to the illustrator, regardless of whether the illustrator does any new illustrations or not, because they're the ones who started the book, and I'm not going to cut corners like that. Okay, so I'm going to start on the next section of this presentation. Perfect. Look at this, 128. We are doing this. Good job, me. It's like I see this everywhere, this statement, right? And it's real, right? Like, worried AI is going to take all the jobs. What am I prepping my kids for? They won't have jobs. And I want to, again, I break things, and I want to break this because I think that it's false. And I think it's actually based on a very, very faulty and toxic assumption. And that assumption is that we do not have any pathway, or maybe should not have any pathway, whatever it is. But without selling our time and our labor, we cannot eat. We cannot have a prosperous life. We cannot have a healthy life. We must sell our time and labor to the highest bidder in order to be able to have food on our table. And that is how it's been for a long time. Our capitalist model requires us. I call it police state capitalism, not because I'm angry. Well, maybe I am a little angry about it, but I call it police state capitalism because we don't have a choice in it, right? Like, I don't have any realistic choice to say, I don't care to be a part of this capitalist system that we have right now. That doesn't give me any choice to go feed my kids then. So I don't have a choice. I don't hate capitalism. I just hate that we don't have a choice of whether to be a part of it or not. And so if I hate it, you can imagine how much I hate for my kids that that's a thing. And now with AI, we actually don't have to live like that. We hear it over and over again, utopian AI. AI is going to give us all this free time. AI is going to open up our blah, blah, blah. And then once that happens, all of a sudden people want to pull it back and be like, but actually, no, 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 no. It's not going to take our jobs. Wait, hold on. Why are you so attached to those jobs? We can work because we enjoy working, but I don't like this idea that we work out of fear. That is actually more fearful to me than the actual work. And so what am I teaching my kids? And then the hint, it's not to be more competitive. I'm not teaching my kid how to use AI to be better than somebody else. I'm not interested. And so how am I using AI in this, or how am I sort of sharing what I imagine a world might look like with AI with my kid? So these are two of the leaders in this organization called Grassroots Economics. I share this because they are a model of what is actually happening right now. And not only is it happening, but it is taking root, pun. But people are actually doing this. And we've heard about idealized communities before. Oh yeah, you tried to have a communal community there, utopian community here. I am convinced that one of the main reasons they failed was because it was so hard to do it. You had to farm from zero. You had to make power out of burnable things, and you had to go find enough of those to do it. We don't have to live like that right now. Like AI can help us automate so much of our stuff that the burdens of previous attempts to create some sort of local economy, I'm not convinced that we live in the same paradigm. And so I'm sort of not throwing those out the window because we're like, oh, we already tried that. It's idealist pie in the sky stuff. It's not really going to happen. No, I do not believe that that's true. So Will Ruddick and Nijambi are doing this incredible work. First, they started in Kenya, where they were actually doing paper currency, passing it out, and now they're all over the world. And so this is an example of what they're doing. This is in Jackson, Mississippi, and there's a community organization there, and they're developing asset vouchers, rotational labor, communal pooling, commitment pooling, where your skills and your labor are banked, not necessarily by fiat currency, by US dollars, but by a local exchange currency. That might be in a blockchain. That might be actual physical paper. I know Will has made actual physical paper currency too, because he understands the value of money, right? Money has existed for a long time. And so just going straight back to barter is likely hard. Money serves an important purpose as a medium, but the accumulation of money at the expense of that money being with other people who could use it, that's the problem. And so that's where this community economics goes. And so this quote, I share this quote with my son they are saying in Jackson, Mississippi, in their community, they're going to turn every yard into a farm and every garage into a factory. I'm sorry, that just gets my heart big. And when I share that with my boy, I don't share it as like, oh, look at this side thing that somebody's doing. I share it with my boy as, hey, look, this is our new normal. I share it as normal. And I share what we do now, the system I'm participating in now and am forced to participate in now. That's the weird one. That's the one that, yeah, we're doing it, and we're doing it because that's the way we've done it, but it's probably not the best. I can explain grassroots economics to my son because he understands it. And when he understands it, like the McDonald's moment, like I shared earlier, when he understands it, my hope is he goes out and he sees that as normal, and he has to learn an extra step to get to our sort of cutthroat capitalist world that we have right now, where everything's about competing against your friends. He's just like, he doesn't get it. And of course, he's right. But we just say that's the way the world is, so that's what we do. That's not what I'm teaching my kid. My kid is going to learn that this potential, using AI, using the ability to automate a lot of what we weren't able to do before. That's the promise of AI. Yeah, images are fun. Dreams are fun. Yeah, we get all of this stuff is fun. But when we talk about freedom, and that's this next one, when we talk about freedom, that comes from economic freedom often. And especially it comes from economic freedom when we live, we live in this world that we live in right now. But this quote right here, this comes, it comes from Will's blog. Today, we have the means to self-govern, to sustain ourselves, and to never again be dependent on extractive and dominating economic structures. This is the world that I am teaching my son is possible in AI. I'm not teaching him that AI is going to make him faster, so he's better than somebody else and he gets to compete better than someone else. That's not that. Again, I'm just not interested. He can learn that later if he has to, because this may not work. Fine. We might be stuck with the system we're in. Fine. If that's the case, that's the case. I'm plenty practice in that world. There's plenty of people teaching kids how to live in that world. He'll have plenty of opportunities to learn. There's not a whole lot of people teaching him that we can live like this. And again, it's the way that makes sense to him. He's like, of course I want to help people. Of course I want to be in a community. Of course. So I'd strongly advise check these folks out. Here in this slide right here, this is actually a live link, grassecon.org. You can actually figure out how to get involved. I would say do it with your kid. Figure out how you're going to go with your, depending on how old your kid is or kids are, just be like, hey, here's something I found out about. I think it's interesting. What do you think? How can we get involved? And make it a project, make it normal. That, like I had a slide before earlier, our kids are paying attention to how we engage with AI. If this is how we engage with AI, to create a society that is more just and actually more joyful, well, then that's what they're going to try to do too. But if we make it about competition and about increasing our competitive advantage, well, then that's what they're going to do. And again, like I said before, I'm not interested. It doesn't mean that's not going to happen. And if it does, it does. I can live in a capitalist world. I do okay. But that's not how I want my kid to think of normalcy. Here's a little term I just threw in there, BRCs. We usually think about it as beans, rice, and cheese. But the folks who don't want this to work are the BRCs, because it's not actually about productivity, right? It's about control. And so this is what I said. Sorry if it's a little bit too harsh, but I want to be real. All right. Let's see where we at time-wise. 38. All right, cool. So let me close this section out, and then I have a short little demo that I want to share with you of an app that I'm working on that embodies, I think, a lot of what I'm talking about. But this first thing is leadership versus followership. I hinted at it at the beginning, and that is all of what I've presented so far, and what we do as parents and what we do as educators. In this moment, we must try to figure out what empowered and empowering followership is. I'm not sure how we adults in education in this AI world get to call ourselves leaders, because how are we leading our kids to their future? It's their future. Only they can lead. We can help break down doors. We can help use our networks. We can help use our experience. We have a lot of knowledge, so we can help them. We can advise them. But I feel a certain way about us saying we're going to lead them. I don't like that. And I did some research trying to find books on followership. The only decent one I found, there was two. I only found two, and one of the only ones I found, the only decent ones I found was from 1988. I was 8 years old, so at least I was alive, I guess. But that was the last time I saw a book written on followership. I don't need to tell you that there's a bajillion books on leadership. There's probably more books written on leadership in the last minute than there has been on followership in the last 20 years. And so this is like of all the things from the beginning of the presentation until now, thinking about how you can be an empowering, and by empowering, I mean empower our youth, and empowered. How do you feel empowered through followership? And it's that first one, empowering, is really important. Our kids feel very disempowered right now. They're looking at climate change. They're looking at the political world. They're looking at wars, all being broadcast live on their phones. And they don't, most of them don't feel a whole lot of agency. And you can't find leadership if you don't feel agency. And so there's a lot of our kids don't feel that. And so how do we, through a lens of followership, build up our kids, our young people to be the leaders? The world that they imagine is same world that when we were kids, we probably imagined, but then got it slowly and systematically taken out of us, right? Sir Ken Robinson's TED talk from way long ago, schools kill creativity, society kills creativity, right? Like we're going through society to be better at something to make us more money oftentimes. But our kids don't need to do that. So followership, it's an important cornerstone for the things I think about. And so there it is. Yep. So let me just close out my soapbox part of this this presentation with this. We are AI's firekeepers. So this is an analogy from Dr. Wakanyi Hoffman, who is an indigenous AI scholar and the head of Inclusive AI Lab at a university in the Netherlands. She's based out of the Netherlands. She's Kenyan, and she talks about firekeeping, and she talks about the indigenous lens of firekeeping. What is firekeeping? The firekeeper is the person who brings fuel, wood, whatever it is, to the fire as people are discussing something, as people are trying to figure something out. We don't know the answer. And so the firekeeper brings the fire logs and keeps the fire going. That's who we are as parents. Our kids are going to figure this out. And they'll discuss with us. The firekeeper doesn't just sit quietly in the fire, right? But we have to keep bringing the logs up. We have to keep bringing the fuel into this fire. We have to keep asking these questions. We have to have our kids ask these questions. In a world where all the answers can be figured out, the only thing that matters are questions. And having our kids be, ninja level question askers in this age of AI, that's firekeeping. That's what we get to do in this moment. And it's not, to me, it's a, massive, massive responsibility. But I don't know how many generations of parents got an opportunity like this. This is an incredible moment for us as parents. And again, like I said before, we didn't come into parenting because we wanted an easy job. Maybe we didn't want a job this hard, but it is what it is. That's what it's where we're at. And so in my world, I'm going to be my son and my daughter's firekeeper. She's only 1.5, so I'll get to her later. But I'm going to keep this fire of AI going, but I'm going to do it with a lens that looks closer to a world of grassroots economics, AI empowered and AI supercharged grassroots economics, hybrid capitalism, right? Where local communities can function with their own currency, their own exchange. And sure, if you need a plane ticket or you need a car, you got to go use dollars, and fine. That's still a thing you got to do. But in the community, every garage is a factory, every yard is a farm. And we can do everything that we can possibly do within our community, we're gonna do. We don't need all of this. We don't need the pressure of all of this. We can actually be liberated from it. All right, so I have an appendix here for those for later, which is I'm just going to quickly go through it here. I have a slide deck. This is what a little Gamma deck that I have. This is Gamma, last generation Gamma, so the images aren't as good. But I use this for teacher presentations, or school presentations for parents. And so just to show some easy things that they can do, because parents are like, what are some easy things? Meal planning, right? Take pictures of your meal, etc. Do a grocery store flyer challenge, those dumb flyers that keep coming in your mailbox that you do nothing but throw right into the recycling. They serve an AI function. Take a picture of it, Everybody take a picture of it, have a competition. What is the best meal plan you can create with the lowest budget possible using that flyer? Family, go. We'll discuss on Sunday. It's just fun. Image generation, I shared with you a bunch of ways in which we do image generation. So that's there. And then as an educational coach, we're all educators here, or at least I think most of us are. So this is probably an easier lift for us. But it's, we care about our kids' education, obviously. And so let's also share. I didn't do much with education here, even though that is my profession. But in this presentation, my profession is being a father. Of course, we have the concerns, privacy concerns, ethical concerns, implications of the future, et cetera. This slide deck, feel free to use it wholesale, edit it how you want it. But that's my slide deck here. Quickly, if you want, I'm going to share this, but that's my email. If you want to take a picture of the email, take a screenshot, whatever. And then I'm going to move into, for just the last little bit before I ask some questions, I have a little demo for you guys of an app that I'm developing called Constellation, which sits in the space of what I care about with my kids. So I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to move over to the share of the app window. All right, where are we at? Let's see. Before I share, let me introduce who's in the room. I have Ryan in the room with me. He's right there.
Hello.
There's Ryan. He just popped in. But he is he's with eCadence, which is a LMS AI powered LMS company in Irvine, California. And the reason I have partnered with them is because they are a nonprofit and they are not driven by VC demands. They're not trying to maximize profit. And so because of that, and they're just incredible human beings. They're just wonderful people. They are in Anaheim Union and high school district and many other school districts around the country doing having like an LMS with an AI bot in there with connections with parents. It's really pretty incredible stuff. And if your only experience is with something like Magic School, you're going to be blown away by what eCadence does. But that's all a side note. I'm just going to share with you this app that I've been working on. So this is parenting. This is not school. So this is just a little screen share I have of the app. So what I do is this app is designed to convert storytelling, just regular stories that you do with your kid, into a lens of teaching, learning, education, etc. So the idea is I am deeply interested in and deeply like committed to reinvigorating oral storytelling as a primary way in which we communicate. We're so worried about AI and essays and writing. I feel like we've forgotten that we have spent the vast majority of our time as human beings as oral storytellers, not as writers. We wrote way later. And as oral storytellers, we get to, remove ownership of the written word, which is also a slippery slope that happened with AI, with writing, right? Is people started to own things. And there's an indigenous leader in California who I was listening to on a podcast, and the host was like, "Hey, you have all these incredible stories. Don't you want to write these down so people don't forget them?" And he was like, "Hell no." And they were like, "Wait, why?" And he said, "Because once you write it down, then somebody owns it. Nobody gets to own an oral story." And so he refuse it. And that's why it's like, I have to keep reinvigorating our stories through telling them, because we're not about to write these down. We need to keep telling them. So I want my time with my son and my daughter to be shaped in that oral storytelling tradition. So I'm just going to start by just saying something I did. So I've got a phone over here, or I can just use the computer, right? So I'm just going to use the computer actually and just do it. Hey, so today, me and my son, we went to a park down here in Long Beach, and there was this frog that jumped out into the middle of the street. And as it jumped out in the middle of the street, my son yelled, "Hey, green toad, get out of here." And I paused him for a moment and I said, hey, is that toad in our space or are we in the toad space? And so we actually had that question. And because of that question, he got to wondering, hey, when does nature start and when does the city end? And so that's what happened. So that was me. I'll go next. Did it get all of it? Yep, it got all of it. I apologize for the resolution here. But it captured all of it. So now I put in this student's name, which we just have like a standard student here, 2 first names, important, Daniel Henry. And now it's going to review it. And what it does is it offers me a few things. First, learning standards. So the first thing I'm looking at is it's actually going into Common Core standards and it's going to try to attach some things I said. Now, some of it's going to be a stretch. This is generative AI. It's going to make up some things as well. So you got to look at it. But we as educators maybe are already thinking that way. But imagine for a parent who's not an educator, right? A parent who's an accountant or a parent who works in a bank or a parent who's an auto mechanic. They're not thinking of learning standards. They're not thinking of teaching standards. So this gets to be a lens to where a parent who never thought of themselves as a teacher, they were like, no, I'm just talking to my kid. I don't know what to say. Now they get to put this in there and they get to say, oh my God, I am a teacher. Like I covered this Common Core thing is saying I did something. And the second thing is the teaching standards. Now, if you're in California, you know the teaching standards haven't been updated since 2009. By the way, that was when we were iPhone 2 at that time, and it had not been updated since then. But teaching standards is another thing. Oh my God, look, I did something that's actually teaching. That for someone who is not an educator, that could be a really big deal. So it gives a little learning summary. Today, the parent and child engagement conversation, frog crossed the street, led to a philosophical discussion, blah, blah, blah. It gives some next steps. Hey, here's some things that your kid could do. It says student, I think we'll change that to child. Here's some parent ideas. Hey, parent, here's some other things you can do in order to keep going down this path of learning. And then I include Indigenous frameworks because that's what if I'm going to be honest, the teaching standards and curricular standards are a Trojan horse for the Indigenous frameworks. This is where I'm really trying to get to. I want us to reimagine our thinking and learning through these Indigenous frameworks. And so here it goes into Ubuntu philosophy, First Nations way of knowing. I have a few more we're going to add and we're going to switch. We got Waldorf, Steiner, unschooling. I don't know what an unschooling framework is. I think the whole idea is that there isn't one, but that's okay. We got Buddhist, I got Islamic knowledge traditions, and there will be way more. And so then when I hit save, it saves it, and now it creates an entry here. So now I have a historical journal of this and a historical journal of all the learning that my kid did. I'm gonna turn this into a dashboard. There's gonna be a heat map, and then eventually, I'm going to add in the grassroots economics piece as well. And so that's the app. Again, and then you can start a new entry just by going to the page. For evidence, we're going to change that word from evidence to, I can't remember, what do we say? Entry. We're just going to call it a journal entry because this is we're building a journal, right? And so there you go. I share that again. I'll put my I'll put my email slide up again here. I share that again because to me, what is the most important part of, or at least maybe not important, that might not be the right word, but to me, what is the most compelling use of AI with my child is being able to just talk to him. It's something that I think we've heard a few times, and I think more and more we experience it firsthand, which is one of the unexpected outcomes of this AI I don't know why the term infiltration came in. That's so negative, but whatever, somewhere, whatever, right? Presence, our AI presence is that it is allowing us to connect with one another in a human way that I think is like we've been struggling to do now for a long time. And frankly, we've been struggling to do since industrialization, and since we've all been having to work as much as we have, and both parents have had to work, and whole families have had to work, and kids have had to go to work when they're young, et cetera. Since industrialization, I think we've been having a hard time going back to what used to make us genuinely human, which was storytelling between parent, child, family, and growing from there. So where are we at? We're at 5 minutes. Wonderful. I'm going to close it up there.